Coach, and then we'll take some questions. Just leave your hands up for me, please. Coach.
Well, today, tough second half. We weren't very good offensively in the second half, didn't get enough balance scoring. We had an 11-point lead there in the first half and didn't get enough separation. Had some careless turnovers, missed some of our shots that we normally make and that we're capable of making. And we think we're a team of capable of having at least 4 guys in double figures and not just 2. So, this was a learning lesson for our team, that we have to be ready to play for 40 minutes. We didn't quite have that effort today, and I have to do a better job of making sure they're ready to play in situations like this when we're playing against a really good team.
Thanks, Coach. Start with Chandler in the back right.
Avery, they came in and they weren't a very good three-point shooting team coming into the game, and I think they hit 5 in the first half. How many of those were just they made contested shots? How many of those were missed rotations defensively? Yeah. What did you think of their defense, of your defense all day? Yeah,
I think 2 out of the 3 we weren't there to contest it in time, and then they did make a couple of tough threes, but again, that's how early in the season these small sample of statistics are not always telling the real story. Those guys, Mumman and Griffin, they're really good three-point shooters. They can shoot 3 independent of what the stats say. So they got it going. That really helped them get off the good start. We were defending them from the 2-point, inside the 3, pretty good in the first half, but those 3s kept them in the game, especially when we built the lead.
Right side, Alex.
Avery, you went through scoring droughts a lot last season, like long stretches, and this is probably the first game this season you've had one of those stretches. What was the key to that? What was kind of the issue at play? And obviously it was a rough night for some of your freshmen who haven't really experienced that.
Right, I just think, first of all, you got to always give your opponents credit. They're a pretty good defensive team. Obviously we had Taco in foul trouble a lot throughout the game, but the rest of their guys are good defenders, and they're older guys, and they know how to get after it at the wing position. But you saw there were situations where we were dribbling the ball up the floor and we would just lose it, 2 or 3 times. Or we'd take, maybe a bad shot at an opportune time. Maybe we have 4 guys running a certain play and 1 guy didn't know what we were doing. So all correctable errors. And again, I'm not going to say anything about our freshmen because they're young, but a lot of this is still new experiences for them playing against teams that are good. Central Florida, we scheduled them for a reason. They're a team that we think can potentially make the tournament this year. And don't even talk about Rhode Island. That's an outstanding basketball team. So we got to get back to the drawing board, watch some video, have a good practice, help some of our guys that need to mature and develop and, again, fight adversity. Failure's not final, all of the things that we talk about, and continue to improve.
Go to the left side, Matt.
Coach, you guys had that stretch where you turned the ball over about 5 times in 5 minutes. What do you say to the team when they're going through something like that?
Ball security. We talk about it, and I know everybody's excited about our football team, and I am too for making it. And playing against Clemson in New Orleans, we're pumped up about it. But whether it's football or basketball, it's ball security, taking care of the ball. And you can't throw interceptions, you can't throw pick sixes. We talk about that, even though it's a football term. Ball security is important. The ball is valuable, and we just had too many careless turnovers at the wrong time.
Stay on the left side, Caleb.
A couple of questions. First off, Petty had the injury in the first half that just went off for a few minutes. Was that something that lingered from the Minnesota game? Is that any worry from going forward?
That was a little lingering from the Minnesota game.
All right, and secondly, they seemed to control the pace a lot better there in the second half. What were they able to do that slowed y'all down and got y'all out of rhythm?
Well, I think a lot of times if you turn the ball over, that'll get you out of rhythm. We had a couple of threes that went in the basket and popped out. So it wasn't necessarily bad shots. But again, we tried to speed them up with a lot of our press, different looks with our presses. They did a good job of getting the ball to Davis in the middle. We struggled with guarding Allen all night, especially in his pick and roll situations. So they did a good job of slowing the game down and playing at their tempo after they broke our press.
Scott on the right.
Hey, despite the outcome, I think this may help you as the year goes. Just a grinding game where you had some adversity and you fall back and had a chance to at least tie it. anything about that?
Yeah. And again, at the end of the game, in-the-game execution is very important. We drew up a play for Colin to get to the basket. He got fouled, made his free throws. Then we had a little bit of a malfunction on the next play. So we got great kids on our team. This is all correctable errors. I don't think you're going to see us get stuck as much like this offensively and miss as many shots, especially the wide open ones that we had. Even with 2.8 seconds or whatever, at the end of the game, we get pretty much a wide open look in the corner, which we think is one of the easier three-point shots that we can make, and it just didn't go in.
Two more questions. We'll start with Drew and then we'll go to Ryan.
And Coach, the second half, did you feel like offensively at times that you guys rushed a little bit early in the shot clock? I know one of the things you thought they did well in the previous game was take their time and not settle and get to the rim. Dazon just wasn't really involved the second half.
Well, Drew, you're right. I think there were plenty of times that we were impatient. And especially when they started to make their run, we became even more impatient and we didn't make their defense work. The only time we slowed down is when we came out of a timeout. Maybe I drew up a play to tell them specifically what we wanted. But in the flow of the game, we didn't have a lot of patience. We just got a little bit rattled there. We were a little bit unorganized, and that's not playing winning basketball.
Ryan in the back row.
Two questions. The jersey switch by Sexton, was that just a wardrobe malfunction?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And then secondly, I mean, how much does the dynamic of the team change when maybe the forward is, like Dante is the main point producer versus the guards, and because you had guards leading your team in scoring each of the first 7 games.
Right, but I think if you're looking at the game, a lot of times when our guards would drive to the basket, they made a major concerted effort to step up and try to slow down Dejon or Colin in those situations, so those short passes were available, especially when Taco was in the game. They were trying to make our big guys like Dante finish inside, and they did. But we have to figure out ways to make sure that we keep everybody in the flow because we take pride in being a balanced team this year.
All right, thank you, Coach.
No, we have one more, Cecil.
Cecil, do you have a question?
I do.
Go ahead, give my over to you.
Coach, are you still working through some rotation? You've got 10 guys who play some minutes. Is that enough? Too many?
You know what, Cecil, not as much as we were at this time last year. We were really, kind of looking into matchups and rotations. We think we're in a situation this year where we have a strong 9-man rotation. Maybe that'll change to 10 when Braxton comes back. Maybe we'll trim it down even more to 8. That's kind of my main goal of trying to get those 8 guys in the rotation. Today we went maybe a little bit deeper because, we gave Galen a few minutes in there, but Dante was going so good. Daniel was playing great defense. We stuck with those 2 guys in the second half. So I wouldn't make much of it, especially if a guy only plays 3 minutes. But if you have 9 or 10 guys playing 10 or more minutes, then that's probably a little bit too much. But our goal, just like we talked about in the preseason, is to find that solid 8 or 9-man rotation. We feel we'll get there at some point here soon. But we have to go deeper sometime depending on the situation.
Thank you, Coach.